Hi, my name is Paul Yost. Welcome to the ETGG1801 Class 1 lecture. A couple things that I want to get through today is, first off, this is ETGG1801, Game Programming Foundations 1, and the class content here, as is reflected in the title. We'll talk about that here in just a second in a little more detail, but it's programming, and not just an intro to programming, but this is an intro to programming for making games, and that's what we're going to do a lot of in this class. We're going to do a lot of programming. We're going to write code. We're going to create working games that you can play, that you can use the keyboard or the mouse or whatever to control. It'll have graphics. And we'll get into that relatively quickly here. The couple things before we get into the content, though, that I want to go through. First off, what we're going to do today. The first thing we're going to do today is we're going to take a quick look at the course syllabus, which if you haven't had a college class before, the syllabus is kind of like a document that you can go to and look at. It has some information about the course. It has the expectations and the grading scale. And the description of what we're going to be doing in here. There are also a few rules in there that are probably worth mentioning and going over. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to discuss that quickly. We're going to go over that. And then after that, what we're going to do is we're going to look at the what it will take to be successful in this class, what it will take to be successful in the degree, in the game digital simulation and gaming programming degree. And those things are going to be hopefully useful for you today as kind of an intro. And then we're going to get into the actual subject material today, and that is programming, specifically programming on a computer and programming games. And then moving forward from here after today's class, we're going to dig into the lecture material of actually doing programming. Now, there are a few things that are going to be different because this is going to be presented with these online lectures, and we'll talk about that when we get to the kind of some of the success stuff. We'll also talk about that in a little more detail when we talk about the syllabus. So let's go ahead and get started here. The first thing that I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and switch over here to switch over my inputs to the syllabus. So the syllabus should be here. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at that quickly here. So the syllabus here, first off, I just said what the class was, ETGG 1801, and that's Game Programming Foundations 1. And that, obviously, it's fall 2020, and this is section 51. So, and that can be important. So when you are submitting your assignments, and I require you to put a comment on there, make sure to put the course name, or course number anyway, ETGG 1801. And if you have to reference it by section, it's 51. That could also be important if you're dealing with an advisor. It could be important if you're dealing with going to get your schedule. Make sure that your section number matches the course number. All right, a couple other things here. The course time is 5 to 7:15, but since we're doing all these as online lectures, some of the lectures are going to be through video like this. I may also do some that are more live with Blackboard Collaborate, which if you've logged into the Blackboard system, hopefully you can figure out how to access those. If not, make sure to ask me or ask someone in ITS to help you with that. And the place is 255 Advanced Technology Center. We'll talk more about that in a second, but we're really not going to meet face-to-face very often except for exams. And I don't really like that. I would rather meet you guys, talk face-to-face. I think that classes go much better. There's a chance to get to know all of you. But we're going to do the best we can, given that there's a global pandemic, and given that things haven't really lessened in recent weeks or months. So we're going to do the best we can. This semester, hopefully, will be the only one where you'll have to have me as a professor in a totally kind of online or mostly online class like this. All right, so let's go ahead and get into some more of the information. So first things first, my name's Paul Yost. If you need to call me or message me, feel free to just refer to me as Paul. if you want to. I'll respond to anything within reason, but we can keep things informal. You don't have to call me Professor Yost or anything like that. Just Paul is fine. My office, if you need to set up a meeting and come and see me, is 307, the Advanced Technology Center building. And that's the building that has the pendulum in it. If you take the elevator up to the 3rd floor of that building, my office is kind of all the way around the back. If you get off the elevator, make a turn to the left, there's some glass doors, go through those. Mine is 307 around that corner. Office hours are going to be a little strange this semester as well. Normally, I'm in my office. You can just come and see me. But due to the pandemic, go ahead and contact me ahead of time and schedule something. I'm more than happy to come in and talk to you face-to-face, help you with things. Make sure to wear a mask if you do that, if you come in. And then here's my phone number. This phone number that's listed here, that's my mobile number. So you can text me. You can call me if you need to. If you're going to call, I would suggest texting first so I know who you are, because I don't tend to answer calls that come in from bizarre numbers that I don't know. So make sure that to text me who you are, your name, what class you're in, maybe a summary of what problem you're having. And then I'll add you to my contacts, and then you could call me after that, or I can call you back if you need me to. Or sometimes we can just answer questions via text message. Okay, the next thing that's up on there is my email address. I listed 2 of them here, the Shawnee one, the official one, pyost@shawnee.edu. You can always send me an email there. Or this paul.w.yost@gmail.com, that one makes it through to my phone. So if you need something a little more urgent, send it to my Gmail account. Although the university likes to keep all the communication on the shawnee.edu. If you need something and it's urgent, maybe send something to both of those. All right, textbooks. There's not really a book for this class, but I am going to be providing a lot of information in the form of lectures, and I may even put some downloads on the course page for you to download and look at. Obviously, I'm not going to be photocopying things and handing them out. Everything will be on the course page, and everything you'll need will be provided. Now, you may want a different book. If you do want some other books as a reference, maybe you learn better that way, or you like the idea of if you forget something, being able to just turn to the book and look stuff up, just send me an email or a message in some way, or give me a call. Let me know, and I can suggest some books that you might find supportive of what we're doing in here. All right, the course description. So I want to spend a little bit of time on reading that and going over that, because this is going to essentially guide what we're going to do throughout the semester. So starting out here, it says, I'm just going to read it and then I'm going to kind of add a little bit to it. So this course introduces students to the rigorous field of interactive simulation and gaming. Students learn about the major components of modern simulations and games from both a design perspective and a technical perspective. Topics covered include fundamentals of simulation and gaming, user interface design, human-computer interaction, input-output paradigms, and an overview of simulation game design process. Lab activities are designed to foster critical thinking and problem-solving skills through the development of an understanding of the process, the development process, as well as interactive programming techniques, the creation of working interactive programs in a high-level programming language. All right, now that was a lot of stuff to say there, but since some of you may have had programming experience before, that's great. If you haven't, that's also fine. I don't expect people to be master programmers or super hackers or anything like that when you get to this class. We're going to teach you what you need to learn. If you've already had some experience with programming, maybe things will be a little bit different here. Maybe it'll be a different language than you're used to. But a couple things. Notice there's a few things in here. This course introduces students to the rigorous field. If you haven't programmed before, it is a different way of thinking about things. It's very much like problem solving at this granular level. So you're going to have to learn to think like the computer in order to get it to do what you want. And you're also going to have to get used to the idea of pinning down your thoughts in kind of this sequential fashion. So for example, there's a lot of stuff that we as humans do that we don't really think about how we do it or why we do it. You're going to have to start developing that part of your problem-solving ability to get that into the programming language. Another thing that's kind of left off of here is since some of you haven't programmed before, this is also going to be somewhat of an intro to programming class that I don't expect you to have programmed before, but we're going to teach you what you need. So a lot of the stuff we're going to be doing is writing programs. You need to learn a programming language and how to use that language in order to do that. All right, now, and notice that's in that last sentence there. It says, we're going to learn about the development process as well as those programming techniques through the creation of interactive working programs in a high-level programming language. So we're very quickly going to start writing programs, and we are very quickly going to have those programs be games of some sort that you interact with in some way. All right, now, since this is going to be a mostly online hybrid class where all the lectures are going to be online, I would still expect you to watch the videos, watch the lecture videos, and take the quizzes. And since we are doing this kind of remotely, I'm going to have a lot more cases where I'm posting little quizzes, little assignments for you to do. So make sure to keep up with those things as well. Make sure to go to the course site, watch the video during the time you're supposed to, and then take the quiz. And those quizzes and assignments will have due dates, so you got to make sure to pay attention to that. So in other words, don't think, well, these are all online videos. I'll wait till the last week of the semester and then I'll binge watch all of them. I want you to keep up with that because programming is a skill. It takes practice, just like learning a sport or learning to play a musical instrument, and it takes time for your brain to develop those skills. And if you try to do it all at once, A, you're going to miss the due dates on the things, and B, it's going to be a lot harder to work on that. So for example, if you had let's say you were learning to play, I don't know, guitar, you wouldn't say, oh, I've got a performance in a couple months. I think I won't practice or do anything. I'll wait until the night before and then try to learn it all at once. That would be a certain recipe for failure. The same thing is true for this class. So keep up to date on the lectures, take the quizzes. If you have any question whatsoever, email me, send me a text message, set up an appointment, and I'll meet you at my office. And we will make sure that everything gets covered and you understand everything. And again, I don't like the online thing. I like interacting with students. I like the more of a conversational, fun, interactive experience with students. And I think that's really how people learn best. Unfortunately, the world has put us in a position where we can't do that this semester. All right, attendance. Obviously, you don't really have to come to class, but you're still responsible for watching the videos, responsible for noticing when the quizzes are posted, when the handouts are posted, what the due dates of all those things are. So make sure that you do all that. Now, grading system. This says tentative, but this is what we're going to do. 40% is going to be the homework, programs, projects, and quizzes. So in other words, the stuff you do. 25% for the midterm, 35% for the final exam. And that puts the largest emphasis on the programs that you're going to write, but you still have to take the tests and prove to me that you've learned the stuff. And part of my job is to be your guide and your mentor and teach you the stuff that you need in order to be successful. And part of my job is to then rate how well you learned that stuff, and that's where the grading comes in. So this is the grading system. One other final rule that you'll notice down here, that you have to pass the final exam to pass the class. In other words, if you did all of your homework, including got bonus points and things like that, and you did okay on the midterm, and then you just absolutely didn't show up for the final exam, or you got like a 40% on the final exam, then you're not going to pass the class. So the final exam is kind of my way of saying, how much did that person learn and retain, and prove that they learned and retained through this stuff here. Now, if you did all the homework yourself and you understood it, and you did pretty well in the midterm and you understood it, and you're pretty comfortable with the material, you won't have any problem at all passing the final exam. I've been teaching for a long time, and I know what level to put the final exams at to make them so that they're a good test of your skill and what you've learned, and it's a way for me to rate how well you did in the class. So you have to pass that to pass the class. All right, there's the grading scale. I'm not going to spend too much time on that. You can look at that yourself, but notice to pass you have to get above a 60 or higher, so 61 or higher to be considered passing. And I do round up. So if you got like a, for example, if you got a, let's come down here somewhere, like a 76.6, I would round that up to a 77. Or if you got a 76.5, I would even round that up if it was at the 0.5 part. So I do round up on those. And also notice that it says this is the grading scale will be no worse than the following. And that means that I may curve the grades upwards. So in other words, I may adjust it to improve your grade, but I will never adjust it to hurt your grade. So I'll never make it worse than that. So for example, if everybody did between let's say 90 and 100, I would never say, well, that's too many A's. I'm going to like move the whole curve down or stretch it out or something like that so that I have more C's and D's and fewer A's and B's. If everybody gets between 93 and 100, then everybody gets an A or an A minus. That's it. But I may move that scale upwards to help you. All right, a couple important rules here. The disruption one we can kind of skip because we're doing this remotely, although that still is in place for the tests. But there's no cheating. I don't like intellectual dishonesty. The whole point of this class is for you to learn something, not get a grade. And so if you steal your work from somebody else or go out on the internet and pay rentacoder.com or something like that to do your assignment for you, or you post it in Stack Exchange and wait for somebody to answer and give you a working code to post, then I'm not going to be real happy about that. And I have had people in the past that will post something as if it were theirs that's not. It's okay to go online. It's okay to look at stuff. It's okay to talk with other students in the class and discuss things and learn from them. But the work that you turn in needs to be your work. And really, you know when you're trying to cheat and when you're not. So if it feels like cheating, it is. If it feels like you're being intellectually dishonest, then you are. And this goes for the quizzes that are online and the assignments as well, that if you are getting help from someone else and you're not really understanding that stuff, then it's not going to be good for you in the overall performance of the class. That I will deal with that fairly severely. So for example, if I gave you an online quiz and I detected that you had either taken the stuff off of the internet or gotten someone else to answer that, then you'll just get a 0 on that. I won't be nice about that. I'll be honest with you, you be honest with me, and if you are having problems, come and talk to me about it. Talk with other people in the class, get help. We can get tutors, we can get other people to kind of help you, but do not cheat on stuff. All right, programming assignments. We'll talk more about this later. I don't want to go into too much detail on this right now. But the basic thing is here, I'll give you a programming assignment. It'll tell you what the program has to do. You'll make that program that does that, and then you'll submit that on the course page through the submission process. I'll grade it. You'll get your grade back through that. Now, when you submit things, use that course page as much as possible. So the course site. So in other words, don't just email it to me or put it on a Facebook message and send it to me. Put it in the course site system because that's where it shows up and that's where I can grade it. And everything, try to do that with. If the course site isn't working, your login's messed up or something like that, message me. We can set up some alternate system, but just let me know there's a problem. We'll figure that out. But don't just randomly email things to me and then because I grade them in the course site system, the Blackboard system. All right. Exams and quizzes. There's a couple important things here. The exams will be announced at least 1 week before given. We're going to have 2 exams in this class. I'll move this down so I'm not covering it up. There'll be a midterm. There'll be a final. That's it. There will, however, be quizzes that'll be given periodically, and I might not announce those. So those would be like that day of the class, a quiz would show up on the Blackboard site. You would take it on there, and then you'd be done. And make sure to check in with that site regularly on each of the days as a class, because that's when the lectures are going to get posted, and that's any quizzes will also be posted that day for you to take. Now, I'm not going to announce those, but I will announce the midterm at least a week before it's given, and the final will be on the time and date that it's listed in the final exam schedule for the university. So it's your responsibility to make sure you know when the exams are scheduled. It's your responsibility to make sure that when a quiz shows up, to take it by the assigned time. And I'll grade those online, get any feedback back to you. But make sure that you get those. Now the final exams I don't return final exams, but if at the end of the semester, if you want to see your final exam, go over it, look at it, discuss your performance on it with me. We'll set that up and we'll make that happen. All right, last bit of housekeeping here before we move on to some other things. If you have some sort of a need for an accommodation and you have some sort of documented disability, then we'll do what we can to deal with that. So for example, if you have eyesight problems and we go to have the exams in the classroom and you need a larger font or something like that, or you need a quiet environment to take it in that's not in the classroom with other people, distraction-free environment, make sure that you contact the coordinator of in the Office of Accessibility Services in Hatcher Hall. There's the phone number. If you forget it, you can always go back to this syllabus and look at it. And make sure to let me know as well. So for before the exam happens, make sure to let me know that you need that accommodation, or that if there's anything I can do to help, let me know. But make sure to coordinate all that through the Office of Accessibility Services. Now, and if you don't make that request in a timely fashion, then I might not be able to accommodate it. So make sure to work with them. They'll talk to me. You can talk to me. We'll make sure we get whatever you need to make things accommodating for whatever your needs are. Okay, so that's it for the syllabus part of this. So let's go on to what I have on here listed as this success in this class. So let me switch over to that. Okay, so as we mentioned earlier, a couple things worth mentioning anyway are that this is the ETGG 1801 class, which is part of the degree, Digital Simulation and Gaming Programming. There's two degrees. There's a gaming arts degree and there's a game engineering degree. One of them is mostly art and modeling and things like that. One of them is programming and writing the code and taking ideas out of your head and putting them into the computer to bring that game or simulation to life. So I want to spend just a couple minutes here discussing that program. And so first off, welcome to Shawnee State University, and welcome to the gaming degree, and welcome to this intro class, and welcome to what hopefully will be your future. Now, a couple things before we go too much farther. Of people of importance that are in the degree, Jason Witherell, Jim Hudson, that's me, Paul Yost, Travis Lynn, Dwayne Skaggs, and so those are all faculty in the degree. The five of us are faculty that you'll have lots of classes with. You'll see our faces time and again in different classes. And so you can approach any one of us and ask us questions about things about the degree or even any of the material that you're working on. And then Adam Miller is the department chair. You may have interactions with him related to things about your degree. Right now, we don't have administrative assistant for the department. We had one, she retired, and they haven't replaced that position, and they're kind of combining it with business. So when that becomes available, or I know more about that, I'll let you know. And then there's the Dean of the College of Professional Studies, which this degree is under, and you may see him around sometimes as well. But the primary faculty, Jason, Jim, me, Travis, Dwayne, you'll see us all around. Feel free to ask us questions as you need to. Now, one thing about that is, again, welcome to this degree, and depending on your perspective, you're welcome, or I'm sorry. I was kind of the one that originated this degree many years ago, but you're in good hands. All of the faculty here are good teachers. We all care about you learning this stuff, and we all really love this material as well. So for us, this is a passion. That's why I created the degree and all those years ago. And it's shown in our kind of national ranking that we're fairly well respected amongst these degrees nationally, and we aim to keep it that way. And because of that, the degree, like I said in the syllabus, is kind of rigorous. It's going to be a little bit of a challenge. So if you want to make games, you're in the right place. We're going to teach you all the things you need, but you're going to need to do some things as well. And you're going to need some things. So first thing, you're going to need to have a passion for this. That just like anything in life, if you're not uninterested in it, you're probably not going to excel at that. So having a passion for it is going to be important for you. And that doesn't mean just a passion about playing games. You might have a passion for playing games, but you're going to need to have a passion for creating and developing and problem solving and things that go beyond just playing games. And that's, for example, there's a big difference between enjoying and looking at artworks by the great masters like Da Vinci or Rembrandt, and really appreciating the mastery that went into those, and then painting a beautiful picture that has your ideas and your things in there as well. So you need a passion not just for the art of video games and the fun factor of them and playing them and enjoying them. You're going to need a passion for what's kind of under the hood and the problem solving and the computer algorithms and that stuff as well. And a lot of that will develop on its own. If you have a passion for wanting to create things and build things, a lot of that will kind of come naturally to you. You're also going to have this willingness to learn and learn in an active way. And what that means is there's not going to be a lot of memorization. Learning about programming is more critical thinking and problem solving than it is memorize this thing and this thing and this thing and then repeat them back to us. So you're going to need to learn and learn actively. You're going to have to be wanting to do this stuff and then doing that. And you're going to have to maintain that passion throughout the 4 years and then hopefully the rest of your career in that. And the next thing is things are sometimes going to get difficult. You're going to be in classes where maybe things don't make sense. You're going to be in class, at least not initially, you're going to be in classes where something you have that you think should work is not working the way you think it should. And you're going to have to kind of maintain that passion for figuring this stuff out and actively seeking the answers and then understanding. Now, that means you're going to have to kind of keep working despite when things get difficult. So if things get difficult, don't just give up. Keep at it, keep at it, keep at it. And that's one of the things that can be really, at least for me, that can be very rewarding, that you have a tough problem. There's a thing that you're trying to figure out. And there's this bug that is insidious and you can't figure it out, And then when you do, there's like this aha moment and this it's almost like a rush that you get like, hell yeah, I figured that out. And so to do that though, you have to kind of stay focused, stay dedicated, don't get distracted by, for example, it's very easy to check your email, read Facebook, play on TikTok, or go to Reddit and read some things. So when things get difficult, try to avoid that distraction and stay focused on what it is. And you might take a little mental break, get up, walk around, think about things. But stay focused, stay dedicated, and enjoy that programming and enjoy the problem solving. Now, if you are successful at those things, then gaming or any other related career is going to be something that's going to be very challenging, but also very rewarding. And so what I would advise you to do here is kind of try to keep that passion in mind as you're doing this stuff and try to make sure that you're learning those things. All right. Now, so if you want to be that game programmer, there's a couple things that I would say that we can help you learn what you need to have a career in gaming. And programming is at least in this degree, is your path to that career. Now, we have a pretty good number of students that go into electronic entertainment, gaming, as their for employment when they graduate. But this is not a a trade school where we're just teaching you some tools that are used in the gaming industry. This is essentially a full-blown, rigorous computer science degree with a whole layer of gaming and graphics things layered into it and on top of it. And so we have a lot of students that end up going into other areas as well. So for example, computer science, software engineering, research and development programming, virtual reality development. We've even had students go into kind of military and aerospace type simulation and development. We've had some that have gone into the graduate school to continue their education in computer science or computer engineering or any of those other kind of related fields. But pretty much what you're going to come out of this degree as is a really competent programmer with experience doing real stuff related to graphics, simulation, game programming, and real-time tools that are going to allow you to do that. And that's one of the reasons why our graduates have been successful, is they come out of our degree knowing how to do things. And your senior project, you'll get to make your own kind of larger game project. You'll get to do the art, and with a team, obviously. You'll do the art and the programming and bring this vision to life. And that can be really rewarding. All right, so again, welcome to the Academy. Now, a couple final things here. What we're going to do for you is we're going to challenge you, and we're going to help you learn. We're going to help you grow. That's our job. We're going to give you access to toys and tools and knowledge. We're going to connect you with like-minded students who are also interested in the same things you're interested in. So it's like a community aspect to this. We're also going to give you kind of those solid computer science foundations that can be used for programming anything. We're going to make you kind of a well-rounded programmer, so we're not going to teach you one tool and one language. You're going to be exposed to a lot of languages and a lot of tools and a lot of ideas. And we're also going to, hopefully, throughout your 4 years, help you develop portfolio pieces and be a part of those teams that are on those pieces. And then you can use that as your key to the industry. And then in the industry, a lot of times what they care about is not what degree you have, as much as show me what you've done, show me what you can do, take this programming test, and prove to me that you know how to program and that you're competent. And in the industry, those portfolio pieces and the ability to be that well-rounded programmer with those computer science foundations is really useful for getting into that industry. There's also this ability to have these extracurricular projects and additional learning that's not part of the degree. We encourage a lot of that. We have kind of game jams and things like that I'll mention in a second that we do. We also have this house system on campus that encourages kind of cooperation, but also competition. I'll mention that a little more later on. And your house is determined by your advisor. So if I'm your advisor, welcome to House Yost. It's kind of like Harry Potter, Hogwarts, with the different houses there. We do the same thing here, but there are 4 houses that you can be a part of. If I'm not your advisor, then too bad for you. You have somebody else as your house advisor. But we'll have some fun with that as well. Now, a couple things about that. We're going to do all this, but note that having a degree doesn't guarantee a job. I kind of mentioned that things that are going to help you get a job in the industry are going to be developing those skills, meaning doing your own research into things, figuring things out, solving things. So research into programming, research into the industry, research into what skills you need to develop, a lot of effort. And that's going to be, you're going to put in effort in the classes to do the work, effort outside the classes to do your own projects and fun things. It helps to have a really great portfolio, which can include your own kind of projects that you're working on. So your own hobby projects that aren't part of class, as well as the things in the class. So when you do something for classwork, it can be really helpful to not just do the bare minimum and check off the box, I did that assignment, but make it look good, make it work well, be proud of what it is that you're creating, and then that can become part of your portfolio. Another thing it can be useful, ability to work on a team. In other words, if you're a really good programmer, but you're irritating to work with and you're kind of arrogant or conversely lazy and you can't work on a team well with other people, you're abrasive to other people, then that can hurt you with getting a job in the industry. Most projects have teams on them, and you have to be able to work on that team. Now, those teams can be organized in a number of different ways. We're going to try to emulate some of that throughout the 4 years here as well, including your senior project and the other projects along the way. Have a professional attitude about the things that you do. We do have some opportunities to participate in conferences and other programming activities. I've listed some of them here. But one of them is Shawnee has an annual gaming conference. Go to those, go to the technical sessions, learn from those, go to the networking events for that. I don't know what we're going to do with that this year, considering there's a pandemic. But when those are available, go to those. I also don't know what the status of these are, given things. But it's important to do that. Also, this luck and persistence. Sometimes it's the luck of who you know and who you've met at some of these places. It's persistence of keeping at it, talking to people, applying for jobs once you graduate, and so forth. Now, you also have to kind of have that willingness to live that kind of game developer lifestyle, which a lot of times you'll put a lot of effort into these projects and these things and have deadlines, and there's a certain willingness to focus on that stuff. But again, if you have passion for it and you love it, that should come relatively easy. Also, you probably are going to need, if you're a really high volume gamer that spends a lot of time, you're probably going to have to reduce your time spent playing games and increase the time spent making games and learning programming and doing other things. So just be aware that, well, that might be your hobby and something you enjoy very much. You might need to reduce that a little bit to get done what you need to do to be successful. All right, now, one thing, if we were in class, I'd have you guys look to your left and your right. And again, it can be a fairly rigorous degree, especially if you don't have that passion for it and don't have that kind of persistence. So this class is going to be challenging. The degree will be even more challenging. And historically, less than 25% of people will get A's. About 20% will drop out or not make it to the end of the class. And historically, for the degree, about 50% of those who start will make it through to receive the degree. So in other words, about half of you will be gone by the senior year for various reasons. And the main reason that I see a lot of is, I guess there's really two. One is that you're just not passionate about it. You're not really, you like playing games, but you don't like that's like, I love driving a car, but I don't like understanding how it works or the effort that goes into that. So that's one of the reasons. The second reason is a lack of focus and a lack of determination. And that's the one that bothers me more than anything, is there are people that are talented and they could make it, but they just are distracted by other things and not taking it seriously. And while that might sound scary, that half of you are going to not make it, then everybody that's signed up for this class can make it. And if you're not passionate about it, you should go do something else. But if you are passionate about games and really want to make them, then you're going to have to put in some effort. So you have to try and you have to take responsibility for your thing. That's going to mean maybe getting out of your comfort zone sometimes, working on a team, or maybe getting out of your comfort zone and calling me on the phone and talking to me. I know that I'm an introvert. I really don't like picking up the phone and talking to people, and I feel like I'm bothering them sometimes when I need something. But just get out of that and get over that mentality that I'm here to help you. I'm here to do what I can to be your kind of guru and your friend and your mentor. So my teaching philosophy is this phrase, to teach doesn't make any sense. Now, why would I say to teach is just nonsensical? And that is because that puts the action on me, that I'm going to teach you something. So almost like as a verb phrase, to teach, that's active on the teacher's part, passive on the student's part. But I don't think that makes any sense. It has to be the other way around. For you to learn, you have to actively receive what is being presented to you. So my job is to be like your guide or your Sherpa that's going to lead you to the top of the mountain of this really cool stuff that you can do throughout the degree and throughout this class. And I'm going to push you to be great programmers. I'm going to push you to be good developers. I'm going to kind of help when you struggle. So if you come to me and you're saying, I'm really just not getting this, I'll sit down with you and spend as much time as I need to help you understand those things if you get behind on something or don't understand it. If you're struggling with an assignment and it's just not making any sense, talk to me. We'll set up a time where I can come in and sit down with you, and we'll just go over and figure it out. I'll help you figure it out. So my job is to do that. Your job is to do the work, participate. And this is a little bit weird considering that it's not a face-to-face class, but participate here is going to mean take those quizzes, send me messages when you're struggling with something, and take advantage of any and all opportunities there are for help. So office hours with me. I don't know what the status of the SI. SI is kind of a supplemental instructor where it's another student that's kind of like a tutor that's available to help you. I don't know what the status of that is. But feel free to form study and work groups, talk to other people. The main goal is that you learn the stuff. The goal is not you learn it on your own. The goal is you learn it by the end of the class. You have this working knowledge of what you need from the material that was presented. Okay, so a couple things I've noticed over the years, the traits of successful students. And in this case, usually they come to class. In this case, it's going to be the people that watch the videos. It's going to be the people that pay attention to the quizzes and do the work and the assignments. So listen, actively participate, take good notes. I would still, even if you're watching the video lectures, sit there as if you're in a class, take notes, write stuff down as you need to. I think that's going to be important. And think actively about what's being presented. In other words, don't just blindly write down whatever I say and don't think about it like a robot. I want you to think about what's being presented. I want you to ask questions through email, through text messages, through phone calls, and don't be embarrassed if you need help. In other words, I said up front that some of what we're going to be doing in here is going to be challenging. Some of it's going to be rigorous. So if you don't understand it, don't feel like you're flawed or a failure or something like that. Just get help with it. And that is going to be important. So because learning programming is imagine learning math. If you didn't understand addition, you'd have no chance of understanding multiplication. If you didn't understand either of those, you couldn't do algebra. And if you didn't understand algebra, then you certainly can't do calculus, and so forth and so on. That you need to understand the earlier stuff to have the later stuff make sense. So don't let yourself get off the rails and stuck somewhere, because it's going to be harder to get you back on that the longer you're off the rails. So the idea there is if you start struggling, if something doesn't make sense, immediately ask for help, and I'll do whatever I can. I'll go above and beyond to make sure that I'm available to help you if you need that. All right, so do the assignments immediately. Feel free to go above and beyond on the assignments. In other words, if the assignment says make a game that does this, if you want to add extra features and extra cool stuff that you think is fun, make sure that you still do the assignment and what it says, but feel free to add extra embellishments and sounds and extra features and different levels and things like that, because really that's where you learn programming, is by playing with it and doing stuff. And that can be really fun to explore and play on your own, or even if there are things that you want to play with that aren't an assignment, make your own things and play with, make your own games. It's like, I want to make a game that works like this, and then add the code and figure it out and do that. So by playing and experimenting and trying things and dreaming up ideas and putting them in there, that can be a really important part of that. So again, welcome to Shawnee State University. This is where we would be. We would be in this classroom over here if we were having classes face-to-face, maybe next semester. Anyway, enjoy the journey. Have fun. If you have any questions whatsoever, email them to me or send me a text message. Give me a phone call. I'd be happy to talk and answer them. Email is always easy. Text message is always easy. If you call, make sure to text me first. Okay, so that's the kind of end of that part of the presentation. So what I'm going to do right now is, so we went over the syllabus, we went over this course and degree success thing. And before we go on to discussing programming, we're probably going to pause the video, take a quick break, and then there'll be a second video where we continue this actual discussion thing. But one of the things to me that I want to relay to you is that, to me, programming is about magic. It's kind of like a real world form of magic. So if you think about like Harry Potter, and I assume that everybody's at least familiar with the story, maybe has seen the movies, maybe some of you have read the books, but he goes to this school and he learns to do things that allow him to perform magic. It's like wizard school. And that's a lot of how I view programming. To me, there's something very magical about being able to dream up some idea in your head that's just ideas, and then take those ideas out of your head and put them into the computer. And now your brain, your ideas that were in your head are now in that machine running and actively doing something. And to me, that's this really cool thing. It's kind of like you can take your imagination and dream up this idea and take it out of your head and put it in that computer. And I, in addition to teaching at the university, I have a business. And I know that parts of my brain are now all over the world doing things without me. And that's this really cool thing. And I'm to the point where I'm pretty sure that I can dream up most things that you could do with a computer and put in some work, sometimes a lot of work, and have that thing that you dreamed up become this reality in the real world. And to me, that's like the closest thing that we'll be able to get to being able to do real magic is through things like technology like that. And so that kind of drives my passion. Hopefully that'll drive some of your passion as well. And with gaming, you can, and especially with things like virtual reality, you can create this whole alternate existence, this alternate world, there's a storyline, and you can put yourself and other people into that world. And that, to me, is a remarkable thing to be able to do. So hopefully you feel the same way about that. And there are going to be times where things are going to get difficult, just like for Harry Potter there were. But work through it. The good news is there aren't any Voldemorts running around trying to sabotage things or do bad things to you. All of the professors here are here to help you and help you be able to do these magical things. So the main thing that I want you to have as parting here is I'm going to spend some time after the break going over some technical things, at least at a very light level. And then next class, we're going to start digging into programming in a very specific way. And then next week, fairly early on, we're going to have some sort of a lab. One final thing is there's probably going to be a little quiz today that's just going to be an informational thing for me to get a sense of where you are, what you've learned, what your prior experience has been. And I also am going to want you to submit kind of a picture of yourself, so you can pull something off of Facebook or off of a selfie or whatever. And the reason I'm doing that is normally we'll get to know you guys in class, and I would associate faces with names, and then that really helps me know who's asking what questions and what you've asked in class previously. But since we're not in class, that's going to be a little bit harder. So I'm going to ask you to kind of, as part of the submission process for that informational thing that I'm going to post, that'll be posted later today, I want you to kind of post that picture and then answer all of those questions that I ask as honestly as you can. This first assignment that I'm going to post, or quiz or whatever you want to call it, is not really going to count for any points, but I want you to answer those because it's going to give me a sense of where you are, what you've done, and help me also learn your name by having a picture. All right, so let's take a quick break. We'll continue this in part 2 of the video, which we will be posted immediately following this one. Okay, so thanks, and I'll see you soon.